Let's talk about detail. Detail and the scale of it. So here in front of us is a great example. Beautiful piece of sculpture made of alabaster in 16th century, in the middle of 16th century, in 50s, of the German Bavarian prince. The piece itself is in Louvre, and it's very small, by the way. I think it's no bigger than maybe 10 cubic inches. So even maybe less of that. So what's important about this piece and why I'm bringing it up is that it's a great example of how much of a detail this work has and how non-invasive detail is. So we see the figure, the portraiture, the character first before we're paying attention to any amount or any particular detail to begin with. We can look around at the piece from left and right, and the only thing we see again is the character of the piece, the character of the person, how he sits, how big the guy is. You can pretty much imagine his type of a figure, type of the character, before we're going to anything else. Partially, it's very important to talk about it. Partially is because the way the human eye is built, that the central part of our vision, which is responsible for, let's say, very small percentage of maybe up to 10% of our 18% of our vision is a central vision, is where we see everything very crisp with a lot of detail. It's partially because the peripheral vision, the rest of it, of our eye, sees much less detail but sees the whole thing first. So, our attachment to the detail is because when we look at something, we focus on what we're looking at, basically like tunneling right into what we're looking at. So because of that, we see the human, we see the position of it, we see all we need. But the minute we start looking at anything, let's look at his suit. And the minute we do that, we're realizing that look at this is how we look. We zoom into the place where we're looking into. And boom, we have a lot of detail. Why I'm bringing this amount of detail and execution of it to your attention is because they're very carefully scaled to each other. They are not digged out. There are no deep carving into the material. It's very gentle, very relevant to each other. So it's not like we always do, majority of us at least, we dig into the eyes, we dig into the nose, into the nostrils. But look, you see the eyes, you see the nose, but there is no digging. It's all allows the light to travel softly in and out, but at the same time, you have it all, B, it's in relationship. What's important is, look, the relationship of the thickness, of the depth, is all correlated to each other. So the right here, for example, the thickness of the decoration on the suit is no deeper, even that chain right there, is no deeper than the hair of the beard. So they don't compete with each other. So altogether, you receive the overall relative depth of pronunciation, how deep is certain parts in relationship to each other. The way the surfaces travel, the light travels over the surface, explains us what material we're looking at. You definitely see the difference between this cloth and that cloth. So altogether, the depth of carving, of the detail, and amount of it. Look at this beautiful shirt under the chin. It's just perfect. But the minute you stay away from it in a distance, it always softens up in order to give the right to the most important is overall position of the figure, overall pronunciation of the posture, the character, how the head sits, on that huge body. It's beautiful. It's very delicate. Look at the way it's all sculpted. Even in the dark, you can still see it. Look at this beautiful beard treatment. But how thin and delicate that is in relationship to the thickness of the thick and heavy suit he wears. And then you move to the back of the chair and look at that complexity. It's like the whole theater is in front of you. And again, the depth of the chair is different than the depth of decoration on his back. Exquisite example of intelligent treatment of the detail in order to be there and to be there discreet and serve to the work itself, or rather to its own purpose. I am the most important. No, it's part of a big picture.